Well guys, it's time to get our motor back in our 01 CR125. So before we actually get the motor in, you can see that the inside of his frame rail here has got some good gouges in it from the bolt, somebody tightening it up and it catching and not being fully seated. So we're gonna go ahead and buff that out for him. We don't want to, he spent a lot of time and effort on this bike, and how often do you pull that pin? So we're gonna take care of that right now. All right, so what I like to do whenever I find little blemishes, let's call them like that, is I just got a cheap die grinder. Now I don't go buy a Dremel, or sorry, not a die grinder, a Dremel, but I don't go buy a Dremel because they're too much money. I buy cheap ones that are guaranteed because I blow them up. So anyway, we're gonna take the Dremel tool with a sanding wheel and just blend that in. And then we'll go over with a Scotch-Brite buffer pad and just buff the area up. Perfect. Take our motor off the stand. Hopefully she falls right in. It never works out like that though. We're gonna make sure we get enough grease on this the swing arm pivot bolt here. We're just using our waterproof grease, Maximus. I think this one is pretty good stuff. I like it. I've used the Bel Ray stuff in the past. It's good too. But a good quality grease. You don't want to slack out on that. We'll just really grease it up. We've re-greased the bearings while we had it apart in the swing arm. If you guys want to see that, you'll have to watch the swing arm video. So rather than fight it and have to fight the bolt in, I'll use a drift pin on this side to kind of get everything half lined up, lift the motor up a bit so I can get the pivot bolt back in. Now we're not hitting the pin, we're just using it as a guide. Any kind of dowel or piece of metal will help you out there. So that'll hold that, and we'll put the pin in. Now we're into the punch, I think. Take the punch out. To help us out, we're actually gonna put the front motor mount bolt in, because it's pretty close. If we can get it. Because our motor keeps dropping back. Same, we put a little bit of grease on the front bolt. Take our channel locks, sort of align this where it needs to be. Just turning it. There. We're gonna use the back of the punch. Do not put a punch in that hole, guys. Use the back of a punch to help drive it in. We're not hitting it very hard, just light. There we go. We'll go ahead and throw our other motor mount bolt in with a little bit of grease on as well. We'll get our head stay bolted back up before we start tightening anything down. We can get that master cylinder back in as well. The reservoir for it. Now it's just a matter of putting all the nuts on and torquing them to the proper settings. We're gonna put a brand new plug in this bike. Last thing you want is for you to be messing around and your brand new rebuild doesn't work because you're trying to run an old plug. The plug might have worked fine, but I just run normal NGK plugs like everybody else. I don't use the iridium ones. I don't know if they're worth the money. You know, brand new plug's a good investment, good brand new plug. Just snug it down. Get our boot on right away so we don't forget. Get our hoses on while we're here. So cable management is a pretty important thing, and the clutch cable comes down through the head stay on a nice straight line down here to where it needs to hook up into the clutch. Get this back in the clutch here. Just like that. Loop our chain over. Put the master back on. We got our special Tusk master link pliers. They're actually pretty handy. I bought them not long ago, never used them before, but they do work pretty good. We just simply put our clip on. All right, time to put our carburetor back on the bike. Now it's time to try and feed this sucker in there. It is a tight fit. The Electron's a big carburetor, guys. It has a pretty girthy size to it. Ain't gonna fit like that. How did I get it out of here? Well, maybe I should have. Well, we finally got the Electron in there. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. There's not a lot of room for this thing. It's a pretty big carb. It just has big and odd places. It really barely clears the shock. Just pushing that in there to get it to seat properly. I could see guys having problems with that. There it's going. Don't fall off the bike. There we go. There we go. So we're gonna run or mount the exhaust flange. There's a gasket. We got a brand new one, Honda OEM, like everything else. It's got to go on, you know. And pay attention on this 01. It's not a circle, it's an oval. So if you're putting them on, guys, don't just jam them on. Pay attention which way they go. It's an easy one to miss. We went ahead and cleaned that exhaust flange up really good, getting all the crud off, because we're going to put a brand new O-ring on it. So I think I've mentioned before on some of the other bikes, the O-rings aren't just your normal O-ring. You can see they have a crest to them. So make sure you spend the $5, $10, I don't know what it cost me, but buy the right O-ring for the bike. That way you're not covering it in silicone, stuff like that, and potentially getting something down in your motor. Just slide it on there. Perfect. So I mentioned in my other video when I took the oil drain plug out, it didn't have a crush washer. So make sure you guys have crush washers on your bike. Replace them when you're going to rebuild the bike. It just gives that extra seal. So we're going to go ahead and fill the bike with 1040. This Motul stuff's what I use. Seems to be pretty good. If you guys have something better that you guys like to use, leave a comment, let me know. So we're gonna fill it until it starts coming out of the weep. I think it's about 700 on a 125, maybe 850, 750, something like that. There we go. Get our coolant system filled up. Run some of this engine ice in this bike. I run it in my 250. 01 250, the one I ride a lot. Nobody's saying you have to, just depends on your conditions and how you ride it. So as I'm filling the lines, guys, I just start giving them squeezes, working the air out of them. That way, you know, you can try to push the bubbles through. You can watch your coolant gurgle in there if you've got enough, and then just top it up, go around, squeeze the lines, try and get most of the air out. If you squeeze the line and nothing happens, it doesn't have anything in it. Because when you squeeze it, it should push the fluid up. Get our rear brake reinstalled. If you guys watch my other videos, you know I'm a big supporter of greasing this stuff when you put it back together. Keep it lasting and not ovaling out. A lot of these parts are aluminum, and they will, if they don't have the grease and the lubricant that they need, they will turn into an oval over time. Just put a bunch of grease on there, tighten her down. Any excess grease, wipe it up. It's that simple. Mount the kickstart. Just hand tight for now. We may have to adjust for the exhaust, but we're going to try and mount it as high as we can. Get our subframe mounted back on. There we go. Finally. Man, that Electron is just so big. That's what she said. We're not going to tighten up the bolts just yet until we get the silencer on. Get our springs mounted. So the 2001 CR125 is all back together, brand new motor. The compression is ridiculously different than what it was, obviously. I can't, oh, it hurts my pinky to actually do it. But you could. But all that's left now is get some fuel in it, and we need to do 3 heat cycles. We want to seat those rings. Now we don't want to scream it. We just want to warm it up, let it run, let it cool off, do it again, let it cool off, do it again. And we don't want to idle it because being a 2-stroke, you don't really want to idle, but you don't want to warm it up like you're going riding. Roll. She's not getting enough fuel. Well, the 2001 CR125 fires up just fine. As you guys can see, we did a heat cycle on it. I'm gonna end the video here, but I'm gonna do a couple more heat cycles just to make sure that everything's up and running, no problem. I was having a bit of problems with the Electron on the choke. I couldn't reach it. I couldn't get it. I thought I had it up, but I guess I didn't. Once I did finally get it clicked up, you guys saw the bike fired right up. So it's just more of a user error, I guess. It's in a weird spot. The choke's on the far side. Anyway, guys, If you like the video, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
I'll never stop it. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't